Waisan holds a master's degree on advanced education from UNAM, Mexico, and a bachelor's degree on teaching English to speakers of other languages from UNI, Iowa, USA. She has worked as a college professor on intercultural communication and technical reading and writing at UTN Alajuela, TOEIC trainer, and technical English professor at CIT ULACID. Currently, she works as an official translator and interpreter of the Ministry of Foreign Relations, worship expert translator, and interpreter at the Judicial Power. Today, Master Waisan Hien joins our seminar on behalf of ACPI TESOL. And before we begin, we want to remind you that you can share your questions in our chat. In the case we cannot cover all the posted questions, we will share them with the specialist, and in the upcoming days, all the participants will receive an email with the answers. Without further ado, let's begin the webinar, Theater of the Mind by Master Waisan Hien Herrera.
Good morning, everybody, participants, students, fellow teachers, colleagues. I would like to thank ACPI TESOL for the invitation to join students in this 5th seminar, and of course, the major of English teaching for the 2nd and 3rd cycles from UNED in the figure of Romy and Pamela, who has been assisting me throughout the preparation of these 2 sessions. Well, I would like to start sharing screen right now. Okay, because of time concerns, we have devoted specifically from 8, from 8:30 to 9:50 approximately. So we're gonna run until 9:40 non-stop and see if my fellow assistants are going to help us out throughout the breaking rooms and the different stages of the presentation. Please make sure that in case there's anything that goes too fast or something you didn't catch, you may write it on the chat, and collaborators will be assisting in that respect. I will try to make this memorable session. I realized it is early in the morning, it's a Saturday, and it was raining the whole night. We can hear the pouring showers. And unfortunately, well, there are certain emergencies around the country, but I think we will recover as we always do. Because the sense of community in Costa Rica is very strong. Okay, I would like to see if we can pass the CV information, which was already mentioned. The most important part of that would be the associated honors and awards that were granted to my English department and myself as the person requesting to be included in this situation of the Rosina Bolaños Award for teaching with innovative practices. I am very flattered, very honored to be able to join a line of forming teachers and professionals in the area, colleagues, very well-respected colleagues, who are trying to just continue to improve day by day their professional practice and their background. As a preview, we're going to be looking at drama as a social and life learning tool, the importance of motivation and experiential learning, as some of our previous presenters were mentioning that yesterday. We're going to go into the benefits of combining English teaching with drama and a little bit of the arts, a refreshing contrast between the types of thinking, in this case divergent versus convergent thinking, and finally the proposal of using the theater of the mind. But in order to get to that proposal, I need to do a build-up, okay? So I don't know, at the point of joining this session, how many of you fellow teachers and students have had any practice with drama, any experience with drama? So I'm trying to surf through the preview starting with a set of premises. A premise is something that we believe is going to be accomplished, is the foundation of our beliefs. And in this session, in order to tackle this information and to connect with your prior knowledge, I would like you to say, at least to interact in the chat and type up a few of your reactions, okay, to any of these premises that I'm going to read. Change is the only permanent thing. How many of you have learned that throughout all the 2019, all through 2020 until now? How many of you have had this encounter with reality, that change is the only permanent thing? Another premise that we as human beings have is that most of us fear the unknown, and that includes those students sitting in a classroom with us and the teachers sitting in the coffee room with us. When everything, the administrators in a school situation, in an institution, when things have to change, everyone seems to fear the unknown. I don't seem to be looking at the chat right now, so I don't know the reactions. Maybe at some point it would be nice if you could interact there. Also, the idea that we humans are primarily social beings. That's important from any point of view. If you look at it from the pedagogical point of view, this is something, an assumption and a premise that we have to assume when we see a kid or a teenager who is normally preferring not to interact, not to do any social task or any group work. This is something that you have to start being suspicious about, because normally students in a safe learning scenario, they're going to prefer to associate in groups. We are our own best resource. This is something that Professor Cerdas from Peace Corps said yesterday, and I included it because I think it is very mindful to look at it as the teachers, the people that we work with every day, the community in the institution, in our high school, our primary school, kindergarten. Everyone next to us is our best resource. We bring up to the plate a lot of our experience, a lot of our wish to interact with the students and bring out the best in them, but we also depend on this social interaction as professionals who are trying to do their best for the students. Also, as teachers, we do not only teach for a moment, we teach for life. Sometimes we have purposeful teaching. We have a curriculum and a set of given contents that we have to provide and cater for so that the students learn. And you are surprised about the things that they finally show up as their learning results. Sometimes they learn things that were not directly involved. There's all this hidden curriculum that we teach with values, with organization, life skills, social conventions. So we teach for life. We just don't teach for them to learn a language and to move on to the next level. Hopefully, we will do that efficiently, but at the same time, the teaching of values and the teaching for life skills is there. It's latent, and we always need to comply with that. The world is a stage and we're all actors. How many of you are familiar with this expression? Do you know where it comes from? Well, this is basically being one of the Shakespearean references that we all understand, because in this sense, we are not, when we teach, we're not only transmitting or passing this information to blank slates. We're trying to enact certain objectives, and we're trying to stimulate certain reactions, and everything in learning language and culture is emotionally or affectively motivated. So keep that in mind as prior knowledge. Perceptions. Your perceptions are interesting to self-evaluate, because when you approach a seminar like this, where everything seems to be maybe a little confusing and you don't know where this is going to, hopefully it will by the after the first hour. But our perceptions as teachers are primarily the building blocks or the stopping wall. If you think that face to face, please go through with me, go through these perceptions and assume how do you feel in regards to each one of these statements in your personal professional practicum. Face-to-face teaching will never be the same for me. With that said, probably the majority of the teachers around the world are feeling in the same situation, right? After COVID-19 and after the progressive moving into the virtual learning scenarios and the interactive learning platforms, maybe going back to the old selves is a little bit challenging and difficult. But if it is difficult for you, imagine how difficult it is for the kids. Second, I need to make changes in my assessment style. Maybe after being introduced to the whole overwhelming situation of moving from regular quizzes and tests and that sort of formative assessment, moving into something more freestyle, something more incomprehensible for us, something more like a wide open. So that type of assessment style where you feel you no longer have the control to in 100%, maybe that is scary for teachers. Do you feel like that? As a teacher, number three, it's not good to overflow with emotions. I don't know if you had a nervous breakdown during one of the sessions in face-to-face classes in the past, but we deal with human beings, and human beings we are all full of emotions. And what we need to teach will role model and proper role modeling and educational behavior and discipline to our kids is that we must conform to a standard. And the standard sometimes in Costa Rica seems to be, okay, well, if you show too many emotions, you're probably not very professional. You need to think about that or rethink this idea, because the 21st century education is based on understanding how emotions are going to support the learning systems of the students, especially at the younger ages. And think about teenagers and how often do they just are full of hormones everywhere. And if you come to talk to a student, and sometimes a student is going to be going through a difficult phase, you being the language teacher, sometimes that in combination with the homeroom or guide teacher abilities or roles, I'm sorry, can affect your emotions to a certain extent. So is it good for you to be filled with emotions? Well, it's up to everyone's understanding. Experiential learning is far more effective than rote learning. When we talk about rote learning, is all that memorization, everything that we used to do, dictation, spelling lists, everything we did in the past that seemed to activate only the surface of the learning for students. If we talk about experiences, experiences necessarily affect learning. They make a bigger impact on their learning capacities. And if they are attached to strong emotions, then experiential learning becomes far more effective. This is from my years of experience, what I have seen and I have witnessed blossoming in my students. Another perception is whether you believe or not that students have compensated their social needs that they used to have in the institution while playing, eating together, sharing their life during breaks and recesses, and having discipline issues with the teachers, et cetera, but also collaborating with the professors, collaborating with the institution, enjoying their class and with their friends. Maybe all of that, the social needs have been directed to other virtual social environments or communities where they do not necessarily have complete knowledge or control of who is on the other side of the screen. See what I'm saying? And finally, students are far better staying at home and learning safely. How many of you believe that you are far better teaching at home and remaining safe? Have you getting your vaccination already? Do you know what it takes to go back to the face-to-face education and not being able to hug or pat kids on the shoulders and keeping their social distancing and insisting on all these sanitary measures that we need to insist on, keeping your mask on, et cetera, et cetera. So if you have all these fears, you're totally normal, we're totally fine, and we're totally cool teachers because we're feeling our emotions. Let's talk about realities. Yesterday, in the one of the introductory sessions of Dr. Campos, she mentioned her research done with teachers in the post-pandemic, exploring feelings and exploring worries, and then she went on into challenges that we're going to review. Because I think that all these connections, she talked about integration, and I believe trying to integrate what was already said yesterday with what we're doing today is going to give us a much more sense of cohesion and understanding of where we're going into this idea of keeping unity and building self and building community, a community of practice. She mentioned that in her study, the teachers had basically pointed at frustration, perplexity, uncertainty, and overwhelmingness as the four major feelings regarding how they had survived and coped with the COVID situation and the classes. That is important because coming to a reality check and say how our perceptions somehow shape our emotions and our understanding. But when we come to a reality check, we say, okay, it's totally normal to be in a difficult situation, trying to move into what in reality we're faced with. Another reality check, at least at the MEP level, that Dr. Campos mentioned in her research was the lack of equity, the lack in terms of equipment, the distinctive parental role, those students who had more parental role or support in the house were probably doing better, seemed to be doing better, how difficult it was to really come to an assessment point. She talked about the effectiveness of the curriculum in the distance learning, and she talked about some advantages as being able to work on or adapt the GTAs. Those are, if I am not mistaken, the guided work guidelines for adapted work or something like that. I'm not familiar exactly with the form, but I believe those are like templates for evaluating, for assessing students, and maybe teachers talking about how smaller groups seem to be a good factor, something different for a change. Well, this is all the reality, the review of yesterday. So we're trying to start from motivation. It's a brand new day. It's a Saturday morning. It's beautiful. It's not raining anymore where I live in La Guasima. The weather is good. I would like you to close your eyes for a second, collaborate with me. Close your eyes for a second. So we're going to go into the unknown here, which a lot of people are very much afraid of. Close your eyes and don't cheat. Close your eyes while we hear this. What are we going to listen to? Or what are we going to listen for? Let me tell you. We're going to listen for emotions. How by listening to something, we're going to try to evoke images, okay? So we're not looking or relying on the visuals. We're just going to close our eyes, remember not to cheat, and listen.
I can hear you, but I won't. Some look for trouble, while others don't. There's 1,000 reasons I should go about my day and ignore your whispers, which I wish would go away. Oh. Oh. You're not a voice, it's just a ringing in my ear. And if I heard you, which I don't, and spoken for, I fear. Everyone I've ever loved is here within these walls. I'm sorry, secret siren, but I'm blocking out your calls. I've had my adventure, I don't need something new. I am afraid of what I'm risking if I follow you into the unknown. Into the unknown. Into the unknown.
you right now. How much of this was really unknown? If I ask you to rely on your senses, you probably recognize a few things. What images came to your mind with the first musical notes? And I don't know, assistants, if it is possible for me, because I'm not looking at the chat, so I don't know if there are any reactions. What images came to your mind with the first musical notes? Is there a possibility for you to read some of the reactions? We're thinking the beginning notes.
Yes, one person wrote an ocean, a piano, a forest, despair, Disney
Okay,
movies,
excellent. What kind of character did you
forest.
visualize? What kind of character did you visualize? Keep writing because all of this is good. We need to keep our ideas flowing. This is the only way to activate our mind. What kind of character did you visualize? Of course, I am assuming that many of you are familiar with the background music and the background of the movie and the background of the company and everything else. So what kind of character did you visualize? We go from the hearing, we go into the visualization. Can you read some of the comments there, please?
Yes, we have a young woman,
Mhm,
frozen, a
mhm.
woman in a boat, a young girl.
Okay. Now, what character traits did you imagine based on her lyrics, based on some of the words that you were able to catch? What character traits, characteristics of this young woman did you imagine? Keep writing. It doesn't matter if it's one word, an adjective, or a sentence. Just keep writing. Let your ideas flow. Mhm. Can you read?
Brave, powerful,
Mhm.
free, a strong woman, afraid, hopeful,
Excellent.
determined,
Mhm.
mhm,
Okay.
mhm,
And
adventurous.
adventure is great. Those are wonderful adjectives that you can connect. Now, what words did you hear? Did you think you actually hear in the initial parts of the song? What words? Do you recall one word? Did anything make an impact? This is not about what you are assuming about the character or your description of the character, but did you really hear one word? Which word made an impact? Can we read some of the comments, please?
I'm just waiting here for some answers.
Mhm. How
Mhm.
about yourself, Margot? How about yourself? What word did you hear that maybe you can recall?
I remember her asking herself a question.
Do you
Rita,
remember?
Rita wrote, follow until.
Follow until. Okay. Anybody else? Because what we're doing is we're somehow unlayering this listening that sometimes it's a skill that we have neglected a lot. We rely a lot on the visuals, but we don't pay attention or we don't have such a refined listening skill. And when we ask our students to do this, the same exact thing happens. Okay. Now, which word from what you remember can you pronounce? Any word that has been typed in the chat might.
Mhm. One
Mhm.
person wrote new day,
New day.
but let's see if we
Okay.
can get some more. The unknown.
Okay, the unknown. So that word, okay, that comes up in there. And it's important that we're getting that word and that we're knowing how to pronounce it because it has an implication. Okay. What kind of weather did you imagine? This is a much easier one. What kind of weather? Somebody mentioned something.
Uh-huh.
Uh-huh.
Cold and snowy,
Cold, snowy.
storm,
Mm-hmm.
mhm, windy,
Uh-huh. Okay.
fall.
Okay. Yeah, we need to expand also the line of adjectives with our students. We need to tell them to think about further synonyms, and by that chance, we also come up with the antonyms, but also expanding the level of vocabulary that they can use. Chilly, we can talk about not only being cold, but different degrees of cold. Of course, being a tropical country, we don't have those many words for winter, but I think that'll do. My final question with this idea is to connect mindful thinking is, were you really listening? Do you think you were really listening? This is a personal question. We ask ourselves, are we really listening when these things happen? Are we really listening to, nature sounds? And are we really listening to what people are saying in a classroom? Are we following? Okay, that's important because the whole concept of mindful thinking leads us into creativeness, into imagination, making associations, and the fact that we're not being judgmental. Everything comes along. When I said the first notes, musical notes here are going to open up a vivid experience for those students who are willing to accept it, and for those teachers who are willing to push creativity and imagination in their students. So it's not judgmental. Everything comes along and there's no right and wrong, okay? Now, the same thing happens the beginning stages where we're introducing drama in our classes. Look at these basic drama rules. It includes being a good listener first and foremost. It includes collaborating with everyone in your group, whether it is a small group or a larger group, or the whole complete activity with the class. It includes showing respect to everyone's acting level and everyone's abilities. This is a very basic value that we're teaching when we're introducing drama activities. Because the same goes along with the respect of their level of English. Not every student is going to be at the same level for that. I can bet my head on it. We have so many distinctive English levels and so many distinctive abilities that yet to be discovered and developed in our students, that respecting, collaborating, and practicing their English at all times, no matter what level they have, those are basic rules to the understanding in a class and how we can learn collaboratively. Then the value of silence. When we are teaching the oral skills, we normally get too worried about a student who may not be opening up a lot. And in drama, silence is a safe spot, okay? You might see during the beginning stages of drama activities with certain students that they're totally silent, they're being receptive, they're understanding, they're probably following along because you see them reacting you see them reacting to a specific prompt, and you see them how they respond to their students, their classmates, also reactions and statements. But silence has different meanings that we have to explore in the class of drama, in the clama. I just made up a word. And enjoying themselves in the journey throughout the drama classes, it's important. So if you come to think about it, this sense of self and sense of community, would you use these class rules in any other subject matter? Think about it. Would you apply the same rules in math, social studies, English classes, music classes, PE classes? Think about it. What are some of your reactions? Are these rules comprehensive enough to be able to be applied in different teaching circumstances with different teachers, different subjects? Please answer freely.
One person wrote, totally.
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. The only thing that we might be a little bit more uncomfortable with is the exploration of silence, because you say, well, the objective is for them to speak and they have to do their show and tell and they have to move on and they have to, give their small presentations, of course. But what I'm saying is that at the beginning, at the early stages, when you're introducing these drama activities, do not expect everyone to come out with a torrent of words all of a sudden, and then to be expressive and to be totally explicit about their learning. It's gonna, they each are going to go and explore this at their own pace and their own rhythm. And that's the fun thing about drama, because it's an equalizer. I find it to be an equalizer. Over my 10 years of experience, when they first come to the drama classes, you set up the rules. As the first very important thing to do in lesson 1, set up the class rules and say, those are the values we're going to be working with. And as much as you grasp them, as much as you put them in practice, this is going to be a very enjoyable experience and very rewarding experience for you all. Okay, drama for kids. This is, I'm still bringing you into the introduction of what is drama, and then finally we're going to get to the theaters of the mind. Don't despair. I have attached this, finished the Disney lyric, not because I'm a Disney fan, I am actually not, but in the early stages for drama, when we talk about prior knowledge, it is undeniable to say the effect that a franchise like this has had over the teaching of kids over the years. So let's play a little bit with this. This is called Finish the Disney Lyric, and it says, "You've got a," this is from the Toy Story. This is from Toy Story. Any volunteers saying, how do you feel in that? You've got a, oh, almost came.
Friend. Yeah, but
Came
a
Toy
two, three, four.
Story,
Everybody knows that.
everybody
It
knows that.
seems.
Okay. So it's important because the kids also tend to value, you connect the word that they're coming up with, you can have a little chat with them. It's like, okay, friend, in what, when have you, or how can you show me a friendly conversation? How can you show me someone is really your friend? And depending on the grade levels, depending on the English levels, you might take this in deeper. Okay, finish the lyric. Hakuna Matata. What a phrase. This is a must. People should know this one. Okay?
They are writing wonderful.
What a wonderful phrase. Exactly. Okay. I'm going to give you the whole activity, which I downloaded in a PDF, so I'm going to attach it for you to have it. It's down there is the address where I took it. Let's continue. Let it go. Let it go. Another one. Can't anymore. Does anyone guess? Okay.
Yeah, one person wrote take.
Can't take it anymore. Okay, it's actually a little bit more complex. We're expecting students to produce, fill in the space with 3 words. But if you don't know the context, if you don't know the movie, which I doubt it, but if you don't know it, then you might have a conversation about what things are you do you have to let go? What things, and this is very profound because it's not only talking about recognition, it's talking about the issue, the topic, or the theme, and you can even ask them to apply the lyric into something personal, something of their own, and just express in a line what is something that they have to let it go. Okay? The next one, I don't believe you're going to get this one. Try the gray stuff. It's from Beauty and the Beast. It's probably from the banquet scene of Beauty and Beast. Try the gray stuff.
It's delicious.
Ah, we got someone. We got a Disney fan. Okay, very good. It's delicious. Now, the last one, because we don't have a lot of time, but I'm sure I'm going to give you this. You're going to have an opportunity to use it. This is from very famous Mary Poppins. It's a classic. Let's go fly up. What things can we fly?
A kite.
A kite. Yes, of course. And of course, the Lion King. One of my favorites is the Circle of
Life.
And you remember, the Circle of Life. Exactly. Well, that's something to break the ice, something to have people, talk, have a nice conversation. Now, if you notice in this activity, it is possible to combine their prior knowledge, their sound recognition of songs, recognition of titles and phrases and lines. And so combining, this is one of the biggest points here, we combine drama with English and the arts. If we can, that's why I was so overwhelmed yesterday when I heard the chorus, this choir of the kids from La Union School. It was beautiful how they were combining their talents. It brings out individuality and it brings out equity in class because you don't know when you come to the language classroom, it's very difficult to really get an assessment, a deep assessment of how many different talents your students can have. It builds self-confidence and group confidence because they start doing little kids and little presentations, and people laugh and they feel comfortable, they feel good. If someone misses a joke, and then the next time they're by themselves without you telling them anything, they're going to try to outdo themselves. The skills so are developed progressively. It promotes ownership of language, in this case, meaning that you don't have to direct 100% or control 100% other than the contents of the language that you have to teach. But they can take and own the language and they can put it into their own little words and the little phrases, building up on script writing, et cetera, et cetera. It also encourages small group leadership because as you see the little stars emerging, then you can give them a little bit more of an opportunity to take on the lead. So you can give a so-and-so dismisses a lead female role because you know that she can handle that amount of pressure. And you can give maybe this little student over here a silent role and still is part of the presentation. You can have someone be a tree, grow tall, okay, and still be part of the group. And so group leadership can also be turned into something horizontal, increasing socializing and rapport among the participants, and finally stimulating talent and creativity. Are you following me so far? Yes, no, are you sleeping? I'm gonna have to sip coffee because this is my morning coffee time as well. Okay, so there are benefits that we are not listing here, for example, as discipline correction. Let's go back because this is an important point. Many students that in the past I used to believe or have a prejudice about, which is terrible that I'm saying it, but you guys as teachers, you have the same preconceptions. Certain kids are probably not doing very well in discipline. You say, how can I handle them? How can I give them something that is encouraging, engaging, productive, effective, and that I'm going to try to get something good out of this kid? And then, interestingly enough, those kids who seem to have a lot of disruptive behaviors, when you combine drama, English, music, dancing, and all of these, of course, we're talking about multiple intelligences kids. When you combine that, you articulate such a nice product because you never know how all these outbursts of energy is going to go. And so if you can channel it properly, drama can take away a lot of your discipline problems. Let me tell you, I can testify to that. Okay, in this activity, I don't know how I'm keeping up with time. People, remind me. Okay, we're still looking into this idea of traditional theater, right? For those of you who may not be very familiar with. So here I found an activity where you can just go in, look at it. It's a sketch, and it has a traditional layout for a theater. So where do you think these go? You can actually do it. Okay, curtains is a word that most people would know. What else associated with traditional theater structure? What else? Maybe audience, because it's a cognate. Okay, it's a cognate. Maybe the audience sits here. This is where the audience is supposed. This is just a simple drag and drop activity, but it's done online and it gives you a score. Okay, so audience. What about balcony? That's also cognate. So I think we can, the problem is I have to. Okay, where do I go? Right or left? What do they say? Should I put the balcony on the right or on the left? Okay, let's say I put it over here on the highest. In the orchestra. Oh, we actually have an orchestra. This is inspired in traditional theater where the orchestra or band is going to be in this little place right here, which is not what? The stage. Stage. So stage goes over here. Oops. I'm not using the mouse. Okay, so we're left with two, aisle or box, and box. So we have two on the left, aisle. So that probably goes in here because we're expecting our students to be familiar with supermarkets, and supermarkets have aisles. And maybe box, okay? So with this little activity, we can give it a start.
Sorry, Wisam. I think we are not looking up what you are explaining.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna go back. Okay, here it is. And share. All right, now you can see the squares.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. In this activity, which is basically what traditionally we would do with students to bring them a little closer to theater, okay? what do you see there? What do you see there? What kinds of characters do you see there? You see here someone looking like
A king, they
a
say.
king. You see a crown, you see a cape, you see something there. And this other one, second picture on the right, we're going from left to right. Second picture, you see something lesser than a king in terms of hierarchy.
A knight.
Maybe a knight, but the knight is cleaning, right? That's important. Okay, then you see what? These two characters sleeping in beds.
Kids.
Okay, it could be kids, it could be dwarfs, and then you see the fourth one, who's she? So
A
by
princess.
doing this, you can try to bring out the words with the students to tell them to mention a few of the words. What do you think they're doing? Why do you think they are doing what they're doing? What do they look like, etc., etc. And after you've gone one by one enumerating the characters, you can have also look at this mean wolf on the second line from left to right. Then you have someone who looks happy, someone who looks generous, someone who looks like he's doing something he's not supposed to, someone who's hiding behind a curtain, and then a girl sharing something with her pet. Okay, prepare to listen and to sort out the matching.
Listening 114. Unit 4. Challenge test. 1. Listen and number. 1.
My favorite character is beautiful and she's very clever too.
Okay, with that description, normally students will just tend to either choose this one or this one, right? Because we're expecting that they understand pronouns, they understand that it's a reference made, or this one made to a woman, right? So with this sort of exercise, you can bring out the listening skills, sharpen it a little better, and have students later move on to, if you want to use a grammar point like teaching comparatives, well, go on. This is like a table, interesting table, and some spaces where you can have them go through that. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing here. I'll go back to the presentation because I think I already got that. All right, so we go back to here. Are we seeing it? Okay, so we move on to another activity. We might not be able to do all those activities, but I'm going to go a little faster because of time reasons. In an activity like this, what we call divergent thinking is the type of thinking where you just say, okay, brainstorm, come up with a list of words, come up with a list of things. What do you know about? And so it's fast, it's done fast, it's done free of judgment. The emphasis in the quantity and the brainstorming. So I kind of like think this would be nice for grades 4th on to upper levels. What words are associated with theater? Quickly type up a few of the words that you think might be related to theater, okay? So maybe one of the collaborators can read off some of the words, okay, because it's becoming too silent.
Audience.
Audience, yes.
Play.
Play.
Music.
Music.
Ticket. Scene. Script.
Great.
Scenario. Tragedy. Comedy.
Great. Okay, we're going to stop it there and show some of the words that they can have come up with, which is possibly from a teacher starter point of view. Look, this is in alphabetical order, some of the major words related to theater. But in this case, we're just producing the words. We're not establishing any association. So you see what I'm saying? Now, if we ask students to move on up a little bit, to push their imagination, say, now we need to classify the words in that activity 1, theater words, and explain the choices to the group. Explain the choices, why you're putting these words under people, under things, under place related, under sound related, or some words that they might not know. And so they can easily, and that's fine to put them in the not sure. In this conversation, we're trying to get them to do convergent thinking. This is pushing them into creativeness, pushing them into evaluating the words and associating the words, and it's more in depth. Okay, that's the contrast. We already did the characterization. Conventional characterization would look into what we just looked at. Some of the adjectives describe the character, describe their actions. But if we think about more unconventional characterization, and this is where we're going to have maybe, I don't know if it's going to be done fast, the creating characters part. This is one of my favorite stages in the drama, because the students are going to draw from their personal experience, they're going to draw from their vast knowledge of pop culture and movies and everything. They're going to draw from their cartoons, from the kids' literature, from TV series, from Netflix, from you name it. So creating characters is going to be mostly about being inspired by real people that have encountered tough decisions. Some of my favorite characters are these, not 100% good or evil. We call that a round character. If it's a flat character, think about a villain who at the beginning of the play was a villain, in the middle of the play was a villain, comes to the climax was a villain, never changed, never evolved. So that's a flat character. But for example, let's say the original version of Cruella, original cartoonish version of Cruella. I'm not talking about the movie, right? We get to emotional characters. For example, characters that are supposed to be very well put, as in a samurai, but all of a sudden we get this cartoon character, Samurai Jack, where he's overflowing with emotions. And also beautiful characters that have some sort of imperfection, or they are grand, but they are somehow humanly imperfect. And that's most of us, real people, like Ugly Betty, and one of my incredible, admirable Tyrion Lannister characters from Game of Thrones. Okay, so in this part, because of time, it's already 9:20. We might not go into the breaking rooms. We're just going to move forward. This is a list taken from the 100 best characters in 2020. The activity, choral activity that I planned for today was a group reading that is scripted to be read by 4 people, 4 characters. We would have Samantha, Jason, an announcer, Mr. Perkins, and myself as the sound effect person. And that's something important, because we said listening here is going to create an atmosphere that tends to bring out the best in the in the scene. Okay, so I don't know if it's easy to read. Maybe we can enable 4 people as volunteers to do the reading of the script. Are you looking at the script right now?
Yes, we
Yes,
can
we are.
see it. Mhm.
You can see it better? Okay, so here we have in the scene 1, it's supposed to be an external garden, the sound of bird songs and distant lawnmower, bees buzzing. You can ask the students, the ones that are very, very outgoing and very outspoken, you can say, okay, you be the sound effect person. And that's a lot of fun, because the kids get to experience something that is also verbal, but it's not necessarily related to words or things that long lines that they have to memorize or expand. So maybe if you can enable 4 people, 4 volunteers who would like to be doing this, the stage directions are normally in parentheses. And so maybe we can enable the audio for 4 people. Or maybe the collaborators can help me in this. Samantha, maybe Tobias can be Jason. Margot can be Samantha.
Rita,
Tatiana Briones wants to participate.
Okay, great. And Tatiana can be the announcer. And we need one more to be Mr. Perkins. Do we have Jason? Yes, Tobias will be Jason. And we need Mr. Perkins. Someone to be or play Mr. Perkins? Do we have it? Okay. Well, let's try to put together this reading. So you cue the students. The first time you do the group reading, you have to cue the students. And it's not going to flow impeccably because it's the first time. So, Samantha, okay, what is the sound when you sigh? When you sigh, I need to hear you sighing. Do we understand what sighing is? Is Samantha ready?
Is it me?
Yes, Rita, go ahead.
Okay.
Okay. I can't remember the last time I had a chance to sunbathe in my own garden.
Jason.
It's certainly cheaper than going to Spain.
Okay. I have the clink. This is the sound effect person. So the clink of a clink, clink in the glass as the water, the are pouring a lemonade or something. Jason, your line.
No, Samantha.
There's something
No.
after the clinking in the glass. Clink, clink. Jason.
Oh, clink, clink, clink.
Uh-huh.
And Jason has to say the last.
Fancy another drink.
Okay. What is that? That is a cultural expression, a British English expression. Fancy another drink. How would you say it in American English?
Would you like a drink?
Would you like another drink? Exactly. Okay, Samantha, go on.
Yes, please. I could you? And could you switch on the radio? I want to hear the forecast.
I think you'd missed it.
The radio.
And that was the weather. It's a lovely day, and here to help you enjoy it is ELO with Mr. Blue Skies.
Okay, the sound bum 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 bum. I don't know if you remember this movie from the Guardians of the Space Guardians. Okay, there's a couple of characters, and ELO, Mr. Blue Skies, is the song. I wish I could have the time to show it to you. Okay, Samantha.
No, turn it off. I want some peace and quiet.
You wish it my command.
Okay, now, how would you say, Jason, that your wish is my command? Right? It's like you're lowering yourself down in a friendly way. Okay, the music fades out, and there's like the door is squeaking, opening. Mr. Perkins. Do we have Mr. Perkins? Queuing?
Andre Ramirez, Andre.
Okay, please.
Hello.
Samantha.
Oh no, what does he want now?
Jason.
Who is he? Who is he?
Yeah, whispering. Who is he?
Who is he?
Okay, Samantha.
My next door neighbor, Mr. Perkins. Over here, Mr. Perkins.
Mr. Perkins.
Hello. I thought I could hear you there. I've come to complain about your dog.
Uh-oh.
Oh, for the last time, I haven't got a dog.
Okay, that exaggeration sounded really believable. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So I am ready to share with you a whole script which was put together by a collaborating student doing a project with sixth grade. It was from a private public initiative, and we tried to teach students of sixth grade public school going on to seventh grade public high school all the contents of English during the 6 years. So that was a project, a very nice social project that I was happy to put together, organize, and I had 20 students with very good English skills, very fluent, teaching sixth graders, their corresponding peers. And it was a wonderful experience that we did for a couple of weeks in a summer course. And they put together, one of the students put together a script called Mr. Monster. So I don't know if I'm going to stop sharing here for a second. Mr. Monster, where are you? Mr. Monster is a script, it's a 6-page script over here that includes body parts, it includes colors, it includes very basic vocabulary. And to my surprise, the students that we were preparing, I can share that with you later, students that we were preparing were able to put together that play as their graduation after the 2 weeks. And we're talking sixth grade students who were lagging behind because they had no comprehensive English skills. They haven't had that for a long time. Teachers of English were shifting and they had no hours for English. So it was incredible with the motivation and the reading and the face-to-face and the peer teaching, the wonders that they did with that production. Okay, so we talked about motivation, imagination, collaboration, sense of self, experience as a community. If your school, if your high school wants to start, incorporating these ideas formally into your curriculum, the first thing I would advise you to do is start with a small drama and arts club. With that, you can have volunteer teachers after school to stay for a certain time, which we already do. In the public system, we already have to spend a lot of hours with the kids. I understand. But this is something that can be arranged administratively. So the English language curriculum, to review it from 7 to 11, review if it's possible, there's any room for collaboration with dramatic work and mini projects and tasks. And if you are thinking ambitiously, then you have to see the whole picture, which is an integrated curriculum where maybe different subject areas are going to request presentations, and the presentations can be articulated with drama, arts, and English. The real drama requires a lot of visuals, like we said. This is a picture from the very famous Hamilton play, which evokes costumes. Look at that, complicated costumes, hairdresses, backdrops, lighting, the props, all the objects that are brought onto the stage, and the stage technology. I wanted to show you here with a link the complexity of the stage technology, how elevated it has become to be handled as a real drama on visuals. And props such as this large tower clock and the lights and the chimney and the arch entrance, all of this, most institutions are not going to be able to produce something like this. But this is where the theater.
Sorry, we are not seeing the presentation.
Oh, let me see. Okay, let me see if you're not seeing. Okay. Are you looking at it right now?
Yes, yes, we can see it.
Okay. So in here, I'm sorry about all those mishaps. What's going on? Okay, theater of the mind, basically here, the last minutes we're going to devote to talking about that as a proposal. Because the conventional theater that we've looked at, the activities that we have looked at, and the definition of what different kinds of theaters would be for our kids, theater of the mind is going to request less resources. The primary historical reference that we have about theater of the mind comes from the Orson Welles' The World of the Worlds in October 30, 1938. If you remember about it, or if you know about it, it would be interesting to get your own reaction about this. But this is possibly something that a lot of the English teachers may not know. It comes from radio. When we talk about theater of the mind, is the collection or the set of abilities, styles, and tools, mostly sound tools and techniques that can be used by radio performers to create this image and this vivid imagery in the radio audiences, in their minds, through the use of sound and voice shifts. It is important to understand that in the sense of collective learning, before TV came up, before TV, large internet networks and broadcast systems came to exist, as we know them right now, that we depend so much on and we cannot live without, like Netflix, for example, or Vivi Rakuten. Before they all came to existence, people used to gather around the radios at home, and they would switch on the radio shows. And so with this radio being the theater of the mind, what happened with the show was they started talking about explosions of gases in Mars in the middle of what seemed to be a normal radio broadcasting day. And they were interrupted, and people started to believe that what they were doing in the broadcast was true. Very soon before the broadcast had finished in CBS building, the police officers, photographers, crazy people, screaming people, they all invaded the premises of CBS trying to find out why, they were doing this kind of like creating horrific, massive panic for everybody. So that's the first reference that we have in history about it. It's important to remember it because we're talking about imagination. And when we say imagination, we think about not having access to a stage, not having access to many complicated things and elements of drama that we would need, not having enough money to be able to put up a school production, costumes and whatnot. But we have these very cheap and easy components in imagination that are inserted into every one of our students' brains. There's a study that the University of Berkeley did, very recent, to 24 people. They asked them to imagine the future scenarios during 7 minutes. And as they were imagining that, they were being observed in an MRI machine. The MRI machine indicated the level of activity by colors, and they said the brain activity during the imagination, how two elements were present: vividness in the full description of what they imagined, and then valence, which was the value that they placed, whether it was good or bad, that imagined scenario, if it was good or bad. So interestingly enough, the researchers from the University of Berkeley find out that when people are building and evaluating imaginative scenarios, there are different subnetworks of the brain that are activated. And something called this is very technical, this is from neuroscience, the determined mode network is the one operating in a constructive way. When it was shown in the colors in the MRI, when people are imagining things that they don't see, but imagining them with full vivid description, normally is that network is at function. And then there's this other component of imagination that evaluates if that is good or bad. Now, this is crucial information from science that gives us an idea what we should be doing with our students, motivating them to imagine even more. So in the theater of the mind basics, what we have is the teacher. We have the teacher. We have the, we have the teacher, we have the students, and we have all the guided content. So our lesson plan is what I'm going to show you next. Advantages of utilizing the teacher and the students in this collaborative mode. Thinking about communities of practice that Mr. Cerdas explained yesterday to us about. A community of practice is a simple concept, but it's very powerful and it can become very popular. The theater of the mind has been used by the community, the D&D community called Dungeons and Dragons, which is a tabletop over the world gamers community, and they use theater of the mind because they establish the differences between the plays that use a lot of things, especially props and things, complicated, and other styles of play that are reduced to maybe using a reference like a map or using a model, and based on only one visual, they can prompt a lot of the imagination on their players. So many of the characters that they come up with when they're doing the DMD community gaming sessions are characters like this. They are out of the normal, they are maybe archetypical, they are heroic or they anti-heroic, and they're from different races. So this is important because if you join me later in the session of demonstration, we're going to see how theaters of the mind is the term that is basically used to conjure up the vivid images and scenes based on a simple written text. So that's how this community applies it. How do we apply it in a lesson?
I'm sorry to interrupt you. Like they're requesting if you can switch to presentation mode.
So I'm going to run through this. It's only 5 more slides. So stick with me, please. The lesson plan for applying theater of the mind would be starting with the world and word building. You give a premise. You say you have to choose a setting and you have to give a main reason why the players would want to participate in it. Okay, think of words to describe the setting. And I am going to choose for the demonstration travelers in a who were in a plane, and the plane crashed on the beach of an island, and there's a secret way out of that island, but that has to be discovered because it lies in the middle of it. Okay, and there are other scenarios, like for example, groups of mountain climbers are competing with each other to reach to the top of an unconquered landmark, or a precious possession of all the characters that has been stolen in a small town and they need to find who it is. So these are possible scenarios. We call them prompts because it starts from there. We start building the world or the basic scenario where they're going to interact, and they need to rely on words to describe it. Okay, the second part, which is also related to the demonstration session that we're going to have at 11:30, hope you join it, is to establish the common experience. So here we have the shore of the island, and we have the represented people, represented survivors or characters, only with their initials and a little symbol related to their characterization. So we can tell, what can we tell from these characters? We don't know much about them. We just know that one, S, has a leaf and is green, so she might be connected to. Some words written in the chat, maybe plants or nature. And then we have another character whose initial is a B, and it's
Nature.
nature. How about B character is a book? So maybe this character seems to be someone, we're asking them to imagine someone to, and remember, there's no right and wrong answers. So this character B is connected to a
Books.
books, and so that probably is someone who either writes.
Library, reading.
Okay, so the character. Then we have another character here that it's with this role here. It's probably M is connected to whether he is maybe a mechanic or a master or someone in engineering, etc., etc. So we create this scenario, and from that setting in the island, we say step 2, the characters must have a goal in life, something that they're good at, something that they're bad at, the reason why they ended up in that chosen setting, and an item that they always carry with them. So this is step 2, where we try to put together the creation of the characters, and usually the teachers can have like a characters bank, saying I can give you ideas. You have a box with names, a box with characteristics, adjectives, and a box with professions or occupations, and then you can have matchups. It's a lot of fun for students to just draw cards from different boxes and put together their characters profiling. For our demonstration, the characters are going to be the 5 people we said. Malcolm, who's an engineer, traveling, but we give him a reason. He was traveling to begin his new job overseas, and he owns a metal detector. So we have already given him an article, an item. Sherry is a botanist. She's traveling to get exotic plant samples, etc., etc. So each one of the characters here is going to have those characteristics that we described were necessary. Lesson plan 3, we say we create a challenge or a task that is correlated to a learning goal according to your grade level curriculum in English. It could be according to your English curriculum or your science curriculum, or altogether music curriculum, art curriculum. So we put everything together. And through multiple exercises that we design in cards, we have them be ready to use and pull out. For example, decipher the hidden message that is poorly written in a leaflet in an explorer's diary. So what we want is for them to paraphrase, correct, and review their writing. We give them a purpose. Another activity can be match the tools with their function to help your group or your party identify which tools they need to climb to the mountaintop. So it's a matching exercise where we have nouns and descriptions. The party finds a lost campsite during their climb with useful items, but they need to understand instructions of use of each of these items. So they have to write 3 sentences with different conditional levels. Okay, if I click here, then this is going to take me where? If I don't use this tool with a box, then what is going to happen? So we're writing with conditionals. Or examples like villagers quickly need to be asked about facial expressions to describe a possible object, thief. So adjectives to describe. You see the language points here are going to be matching up, put interestingly, creatively together, imaginatively together into a task. Okay, so we have given them a group challenge, right? So we have these people moving into a tent inside, further inside the island, and we see, okay, what are your choices? What are you going to do next? So that's the group challenge and the imaginative component. Step 4, plan a conflict. And the conflict is aligned with the language learning points that we saw in the previous step, but in a quest format. So the conflicts, are they external? Character against character, character against nature, or character against some possible situation that comes up but is outside of his own? Or is the conflict internal, a character who's dubious and who doesn't understand why he's there and what is his function in this situation or in this group? How is he? So all of this is questionings that they can come up with. Adversities that the characters need to face, what adversities in this island can be done or solved individually, what can be done collectively. It's more like if you were watching a survivor show, but they can enact what is going on, and they can be safely turning this into something that will apply as a life lesson if they ever encounter with something similar. Okay, at the end of this step 4, you can have them think, you can have them quick write, and you can have them discuss about these questions. Finally, this is the position of the problem solving as a group. And step 5 is the conclusion. It's called debriefing because it means to share opinions and to reflect on the complete task that they had ahead of them for learning purposes. So the point of the briefing is that everybody verbalizes their thinking processes and understood what happened, the choices that they made when they were going through the tasks. The questions also to assess their performance levels, whether it is problem solving, the level of comfort, if they felt strange and if they felt like they were not having clear instructions, if they needed more specific guidance. At the end of this debriefing, which is the last 5 minutes of the class, of the activity, they would have to either think or quick write and share their responses. So the teacher here can intervene more actively in order to reinforce learning goals. And that's another thing, that the teacher becomes a facilitator because it only guides the situation as it goes through. Okay, so I think the demonstration session is at 11:30, right? I'm going to leave you with this idea. The
Yes.
theater of the mind is the loudest and the brightest and the most theatrical space of all in all of creation. It is collective, it is individual, it is invisible and all envisioning. It is narcissistic in a way because it comes from the individuality of imagination, but it's also universal because you can get to share it with a community of practice. And it can be ugly, it can be brutal, it can be also very experiential and hopeful. And it's going to keep the students, which is really important, it's going to keep the students who click into this and are encouraged to go into this coming back and enjoying. So this was it, and I hope you understood at least a good handle of this. Some of the references I will be indicating to the collaborators later on how to send these magnificent resources and references to you. Thank you for watching and thank you for joining. I hope to see you later on at 11:30. Well, welcome back, everyone. I hope you had a very wonderful previous presentation with Cindy. We learned a lot from that, and we're certainly looking forward to being able to use most of these resources, and this is just wonderful for all of you. Okay, picking up from where we started, I'm going to share screen for the demo presentation, and I hope I don't have the problems as in the morning. Okay, so here it is. We're going back to this idea of putting together the some of the principles that we learned. We went through spectrum of what was drama to begin with. There were a couple of questions I was able to see in the list of the participants, one regarding whether or not the theater of the mind could be stretched out to teach preschoolers, and definitely yes, you can do that, adapting it to the grade levels, to the language levels, and to the imagination and creativity of the facilitating teacher. Most of us were going to be learning through the demonstration how this can be applied to young adults, teenagers, young adults, and adults, okay? For this demonstration session, which we're starting now, I would like to pick up on what we said right at the end, how the theater of the mind would distinguish from the regular play style where you have to have all the realia, all the props and the objects and the curtain and the stage and the actors and the director and the sound effects and everything that goes with the school production on a massive scale or a slow scale, depending on the institution. Different from theater of the mind, where you just need the teacher, the student, and some guided activities with lots of imagination. And I mentioned also before we finished the first session, how worldwide there was a large community of practice for putting this theater of the mind techniques and tools into practice, which is called the Dungeons and Dragons community, to be able to carry on with the demonstration. We're gonna once again go back through, say, what would a lesson plan be or look like, okay? If we wanted to implement the theater of the mind, we would need to start with choosing a setting. The choice of the setting can be something imaginative, something provided from an array of cards and options, maybe written by students previously. You can tell them to imagine what would be unlikely scenarios where they would be interacting with people, maybe for a party of four. What kinds of circumstances would have them come together? And so we are provided for the demonstration this setup of travelers going on a plane that crashes on the beach of an island, and the need to come out of there together safe and sound by putting together an effort and collaboratively finding the secret way out of the island. So that's step one, the setting. The step two would be the character creating. For the purpose of the demonstration, to save time, we had let's say, design 5 characters. These are Malcolm, Sherry, Arnold, Laura, and Bart. And I would like for 5 brave participants who have no regrets about taking risks in life in this demonstration to volunteer to memorize one of these character descriptions and to play the role of this character. Okay, so I would need a Malcolm. Please, volunteers, write that down in the chat and let me know when we have the 5 volunteers. We need a Malcolm, we need a Sherry, we need an Arnold, we need a Laura, and a Bart. Okay, so let me know when we have the 5.
Okay, we have Milagro
Okay,
as Laura.
Milagro and Laura. Okay,
Mhm.
good. And then, do we have Malcolm? Milagro is
Let's
Laura.
see.
Okay, Milagro knows about nature. I hope you like nature because Laura has that inclination. Then we need a Malcolm. Malcolm with the metal detector. Then we need Sherry. Oh, okay. And we also need Bart. And our 5th character, Arnold.
Okay. Uh-huh.
Do we have all 5 now?
No, not yet. Well, Viridiana wants to be Sherry.
Okay, fine. Okay, Viridiana is Sherry. I think Sherry is the botanist. I think I am making a mistake. Laura is the artistic one, and we need Bart, who's a teacher. We have lots of teachers here. Please be brave, teachers, be brave. Remember, we're going into the unknown that is not really that unknown once you get into it. So we need a Bart.
Wilfredo wants to be Arnold.
Okay, Wilfredo is Arnold. Good. Thank you, Wilfredo. And one more. We need 2 more. Malcolm and...
Isaac wants to be Bart.
Okay, Isaac will play Bart. And we need a Malcolm. Okay, we're moving ahead for time reasons, okay, because I need to introduce the facilitator. In step 3, we're creating a scene challenge or a task that is a group task. Once we have previously thought about what are the language points that we want to teach, we want to come down with a couple of exercises or a few exercises to fit that language curriculum with, in the, let's say, in the mode of a challenge or task. And step 4 would be planning if there are any conflicts that they need to encounter in this sort of like quest a situation as a group where they need to find clues and move ahead in order to get to the final destination. And of course, the students are going to take risks. They're going to make decisions, they're going to weigh future consequences, and they're going to learn from their choices. And the concept of second person learning here is actually provided by our facilitator of today, George, who's a major in the education, majoring in education and the teaching of psychology, and a psychology major as well from the UCR. He's going to be helping us to facilitate the session. Second person learning means that the students can feel safe when they're making these choices as they are moving on the activities and the tasks collectively, because they are not exactly going through the situation. They're reflecting upon themselves and their choices as if they were outside of themselves by playing these characters. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying here. And finally, the debriefing, which is the part where the students are going to be exchanging opinions. They're going to be asked questions. They verbalize their thinking processes, and they're going to be able to give feedback to each other about how they felt, if they were engaged, if there were problems, if they struggled, etc., etc. Okay? The previous questions of, I will refer to those questions at the end. And I just wanted to acknowledge that there are 2 websites that we're using specifically for this demonstration. So now I would like you to be introduced to George. I'm going to stop sharing. George, how are you? Okay, George, as I said, is collaborating today with the facilitation of the session. I would like for everyone to feel that they are observers. Like in most of the classes, we're going to have a lot of students who are there, okay? And we need to engage the majority of them. But by having either an active or a passive role, we're going to try to fill in the space of motivation and begin with this demonstration of theaters of the mind. Thank you, George. Pass on the word to you.
Waisan, is it possible for you to show the characteristics again and the characters?
Sure, I think George is going to do that. Can you?
Perfect.
Yeah, I can take care of that. First of all, can everyone hear me all right? Is everything okay with the audio?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Perfect.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Yeah, so as she was saying, my name is George, and I'll be the one kind of guiding through this creative process. I have, as she was mentioning, multiple years of experience, more in the tabletop role-playing game kind of field and Dungeons and Dragons kind of field. And I mentioned this because while this is not something you can really study for in a lot of people's minds, and it is something that is usually used more as for solely entertainment purposes, we do believe that there is a very clear benefit or multiple benefits that you can attain by adapting it into this kind of educational setting. And to begin with, let me go ahead and share my screen. 1 second.
It's important to know that having a little bit of background training himself and language training himself as well, he has been able to adapt a few of these ideas of theater of the mind into language teaching and as a practitioner. So it's important to just keep updated and to see what's going on through our students' minds when they're not in class time. Okay, George?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. And a big part here to kind of emphasize is, well, I'll kind of go to this one using the characters as an example. The difference between this and your classic kind of drama department exercise, I guess. Um, yes, there has been multiple points already been made about this. But I think an important one is the characters themselves. In this case, we have these 5 characters that, well, at first glance, you might see them and you might think they already kind of, these are characters that are already sorted out, but not necessarily. What we're doing here is for, time and practicality, coming up with characters already for the volunteers. However, it is important to note that there are things that are intentionally vague about the characters. Why? Because we want people who play the characters to kind of get in their shoes, and we want those shoes to be as comfortable as possible. So by that, I mean, for example, we have Laura, right? Let's take the character of Laura. Laura is described as a famous artist, right? That could mean a lot of things. If the character wants to play Laura as a musician, perfect. But if they want to kind of portray her as a painter or a dancer or someone working at a company for graphic design, it can be an artist in many different ways, right? And we really want to emphasize that because we want to, I think in the teaching context, in order to use this tool, we kind of need to guide them, but we also need to give them a certain amount of freedom because we want them to choose a lot of stuff about their character. And because we really do want them to feel like this character is a part of them, and get involved and invested with the character so they can approach the second person learning by following a character they truly care about. So yeah, we have these 5 characters here. I would suggest the 5 volunteers to kind of take a screenshot of the 5 characters here if you haven't already, as we gotta kind of move forward. So okay, so 1 second.
Just make it a little larger. I think you need to make it a little larger.
So
There.
like that.
Uh-huh.
All right. Perfect.
Okay, volunteers, have you taken your shot? Okay, or write down, if you don't have your phone handy, write down what your characters are, your characteristics. Okay,
Yes,
done.
they are typing yes.
Great,
Okay,
great.
perfect.
Keep
All
moving.
right, so we can move on to the tools that we're going to use today. So honestly, because it's theater of the mind, we don't really have to use any tools. If we want, we could be just in a classroom setting or even in a Zoom meeting, and I could just describe things and narrate things, and you can kind of create the mental picture. But just in order to make it a little easier, since it's everybody's first time, I'd assume, we're going to go ahead and we're going to use some visual aids and some tools. The first tool that we have here is called the Owl Bear Rodeo. Now, why exactly do we want this tool? Because first of all, it's a free tool. It's browser-based, which means that everybody with an internet connection can get in the site and use it in less than 30 seconds of looking for it and getting in. And now, the second part we're going to do is show you a little bit of what you can do in this tool. This tool is usually used for gaming purposes. So most of the things that you'll see here are not really necessary. But the 2 things that we really want is, first of all, this part, which allows us to select a setting or a map. So we found some images for us, and we're going to go ahead and pull the first one right here, which if you were paying attention to the presentation, will look familiar to you. So again, this is a map that we found by simply Googling it, a beach battle map or beach map or beach gaming map, and this shows up, and a lot of different things can show up as well. So that being said, you can have a lot of different options for what you want, right? Depending on what you can think of. Then moving forward, we also have a little pointer here, which I think is going to be important. This little kind of droplet symbol that is going to be able to be our little marker in case we want to highlight something, we want to show where we're going. And finally, I think the third one that this is not going to be necessary because we already have the notes is the noting tool. So by clicking anywhere, by clicking the noting tool and then clicking anywhere, I can create a little sticky note. So the sticky note, I can just keep it here.
This is actually how we made our character cards.
Yeah, so we decided to write them down and have it here so we can, so we can write the notes and we can keep some information throughout the whole presentation or the whole activity for it. But because we already have the info, it's not going to be necessary.
Let's look at the character icons.
Now we can go to here, right here on this edge. We can see multiple different icons that we can use for free that we can use to represent our different characters. So for example, we have a small musical instrument. So in this case, let's assume this is going to be Laura.
This is Laura, yes. We said purple for Laura.
Or then we can have this little thing for Arnold, as Arnold, because you know Arnold has an axe, right? Then we have Sherry. Pretty self-explanatory because of the leaf. Then we can have Bart with the book. And finally, we can have the small little cog for Malcolm.
Okay, please let us know if this the map is too small to read or to see, because maybe that George can enlarge the view of the map so you can see the application. And it's also important to mention, George, that if you invite other teachers or the students, how can you add them so they can interact with you in that website?
Sure. So we're gonna have here in the little menu down in this corner, we can have multiple options. But if we were in a setting where I want to add people, I can just click add a party member, and it will give them either a small little code that they can follow, or I can just copy the link and I can go to the meeting and I can just paste it where I want them to see it. So for example, I'll go ahead and put it in the chat. And the 5 volunteers, please click that link. And you'll be able to access this little map and control your own little characters.
So that's the point. The minute that they have access to this link, each one of them is going to be in control of their moving.
The token. Yeah.
Oh, good.
And just in case, you can also click here to change your name so that you can write down the name of your character instead of the computer generated ones, which aren't as nice or contextually correct, right?
Okay. How are we doing, volunteers? Are we getting there? Okay, let's move.
All right, perfect. So moving forward, we can also use this little tools to, if we wanted to set up a timer, we can set up a timer here of 1 minute or 1 hour. We can use an audio sharing tool to actually let our students hear what we are listening to in our computer for a little extra aid.
We're making some time for Viridiana, who's playing Sherry. She is having access to the link in a minute.
Okay.
Okay, let's move forward.
For now, we can actually start with the exercise. So I'll guide you through a small scenario here. Our context here is, as you can see, we are waking up in the beach. And we're gonna have to find kind of our way out of this little place that we woke up in. Now I'm gonna try and add some sound to it. So I'll try and share some audio through the app. So 1 second. Okay. Oh well. I think it's gonna be better. 1 second.
Okay, if we don't have people accessing through the link, maybe we just walk them through. Are you moving the icons or are they moving themselves?
Oh, everyone that's gaining access can move their icons whichever way they want to.
Okay, okay. Why did they become so big right now?
Well, I guess they're trying out, the limits of the application, which I think it's a good idea.
Right.
Our students will be just as curious, if not more curious than we are right now.
Okay.
So it's fine to explore and play around with it. It's
Okay.
not hurting anybody.
Mhm.
So
Good.
no.
George, how do I erase the line that I just made over here? I'm trying to
Oh, sure.
figure out how to.
No problem. If you go to the little paintbrush
Okay.
on the right side,
Okay, let me see how I get out of here now.
you're gonna click here, and then you're gonna click one of the two erasers. One of them just allows you to delete one of the marks, and the other one erases everything.
Okay.
Good. Okay.
Jesus. Okay.
How are you feeling in control, people? Good.
Now,
Yeah.
don't worry. This might look like a little bit too much for the moment, but it's gonna be fine. It's very easy to use, and once you play around with it in your own time, if you want to use it, I'm sure everyone can figure it out in just a couple of minutes. But okay, second.
Let's go to step 3.
All right. Now moving forward, I'll go ahead and set the setting. Because everyone has their own character, so we can already skip past that. So in this little story, we're going to start with, anyone wants to be the first person to interact with the story? Of the 5 volunteers?
Me.
Milagro, go ahead.
So who's me? So it's Laura, right?
Milagro is playing Laura.
Laura.
Yes.
Okay. So let's put Laura right over here. Okay. So we're going to start with you, Laura. Laura, you wake up and you remember that you were on a trip. You were on a plane. You were traveling to Europe for your own little business, for your own job situation that you got going on. And you remember you were very excited, but when you open your eyes, there's this flashing light that hits you, and you're a little bit confused. The very first thing that you notice after the light is this very specific taste in your mouth, the very taste of salt water, a very salty taste that permeates the entirety of your mouth. You could feel the little grains of sand that's around you. You can hear the waves crashing towards the beach and the little foam that scatters before being sucked back into the ocean. You open your eyes and you're very clearly at a beach.
Mhm.
Now,
So I have to act, right? I have to act.
You have to imagine. Remember, this
not
is
nec-
all about activating our imaginations.
Okay.
So not necessarily act, but role play. So
Okay.
if you want to act and be like in first person saying, oh, I'm going to do this, that's okay.
Okay.
But if you want to say, oh, I think Laura would like to investigate
okay.
around, you can
So-
also approach it that way.
Okay. So I start now.
Yeah. So you open your eyes, and after you take everything in, you noticed
Okay.
a bunch of people, for a group of 4 that are scattered throughout the beach,
Okay.
all seemingly still asleep, hopefully.
Oh my, I don't feel pretty well. Where am I? And who are you? Oh my God, I feel weird. I don't know what I'm doing here. Who are you?
Okay. And you are addressing,
Um, who are you? People, I don't know you.
Arnold, I am Arnold.
Arnold.
Yeah, I am firefighter. We are in Sao Paulo Beach, in
What?
Brazil.
And how do you know that?
It's because we came here to learn in a seminar, learn something new.
Guys, I have a metal detector. My name is
Metal
Malcolm.
detector?
And I am an engineer. Let's go and try to see if we can find a treasure. Maybe we can find a lot of money here.
Money?
My
Are
God,
you
gold.
sure?
I agree
Yes,
with you. I'm Cherry, but I'm gonna look for some leaves before we leave this place.
Hey guys, hello. My name is Bark. How you guys doing? Do you feel as lost as I am?
Yeah, I'm lost. I'm pretty much lost.
I don't know. I've been writing this book forever and I feel like I'm back on the stage of my book now.
Guys, I already analyzed this island. There must be a treasure, I am sure. Whomever wants to come with me, I will go and start, and see if we can decipher where is the money.
I follow you, but just for the leaves.
Yeah, exactly. Just for the leaf.
Wait, guys. I've been frustrated with all this pandemic thing and I was planning a trip out. All of you guys took your advice in? So everybody is okay with that?
Yeah, I guess so.
I got
Okay,
both.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, guys.
a little current event. Okay, so speaking of which, let's see who. Malcolm, you go ahead and you reach into your pocket and you try and find your little vaccination card. Now that the conversation is going that direction, you remember you have it in your pocket, or at least you used to, because what you find instead of that little vaccination card, it's a little note. It's a note suggesting it's a note you don't quite remember having in the first place. It's in someone's handwriting, someone that you don't know. It is written in English, but it has a lot of different mistakes, and it's kind of hard to read. So let me go ahead and show you. As you check it, everyone else kind of starts checking their own pockets, and you start noticing that you have the exact same note in each and every one of them. So this is kind of what you find.
Okay, you need to make it bigger, George.
Okay, so 1 second.
As we're processing in the creative situation. Some of you already included elements that were not originally in your description cards, and that's fine. I think that's fine because it adds up to the imaginative scenario. Okay,
No,
please.
and that's great. And now here's when we try and introduce kind of the part of some examples that we can use to connect this directly into our educational setting. So, for example, we have a very simple exercise. It's just
Sorry for the interruption. Sorry, Christine Gambo is asking, can they get inside the island or can they only stay at the shore? And that's the next step.
Yeah.
It's for conflict. What do we need to provide them?
Right. So, and that's a very valid question. That kind of parameters of what we can and cannot allow them to do as a teacher, as the guidance on this exercise, it's kind of up to us as how far we are we willing to take it, and how far are we willing to let them explore. Which in this case, I've prepared some scenarios so that depending on the choices they make, we can get to different places. Now, it's up to them whether or not they want to explore, they want to stay on the beach and figure things out first. but we can guide them through little nudges that we can throw in, as I just did, to where we want the story to go, right? Because we are kind of, the best way to describe this type of theater of the mind and kind of role-playing game is we are actively telling a story in which all the participants can nudge it in one direction or the other. And that said, we are the person with the pen and paper that is telling the main kind of body of the story.
Is it possible for you to copy the notes of the exercise onto the chat so everybody can read it?
The notes?
Uh-huh.
You mean the character notes or the this little
The
exercise?
exercise, exactly that.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right, I'll go ahead and do it. 1 second.
So at this point, we need to give them a reason to explore.
And now we're gonna go ahead and continue because we're gonna assume, everyone's gonna solve the exercise at their own pace. And 1 second. Chat, there it is. This is the exercise we have. Okay, so after resolving the note, you see that there's a small hint, something suggesting that buried deep within the sand, there's a small clue that suggests what happened, why are you all here, and how to get out.
Okay, so guys, I have already read the note and don't panic. Maybe we can work as a team and take advantage of this island thing. So I don't know if anybody has any idea of where we are so that we can explore the island, get the treasure, and get out of here. So any volunteer? Guys,
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, I think we can go inside the island and find the treasure. I own an axe and I can help maybe cutting some trees and making some tools to drag the earth, something like that. I mean, let's go to the island inside.
Guys, but I have to tell you something. Remember what happened in the movie. The people that get into the island then have to face many horrible things. Are you sure you're ready you're ready for that? Because I am not.
Guys, I think that Sherry, I think that she's a biologist. Let's ask her if she can guide us or something. Sherry,
Yes, of course. I even have a shovel. So follow me. I think the right thing to do is to get into the island.
Yeah,
Well, I guess I
it's
can.
worth it.
I guess I can use my music instrument to kill the monsters, right? Huh?
That'll be amazing.
Don't
Okay,
worry,
let's do
I will
it,
help
Sherry.
you.
Lead us. And I have the metal detector. Maybe we reach.
Yes.
Okay,
Follow
Malcolm,
me,
as-
please.
As you mentioned the metal detector, you pull it out of your pocket to show it to everybody, and you notice that it's activated, and the metal detector is detecting something near you. You hear the loud beeping that is pretty consistent. Beep, beep, beep.
What is it? What is it?
Guys, I think that I am about to find something. Wait, hold on. Let's go,
Okay.
Sherry.
What is it?
Okay, you walk to the left, and the sound goes beep, beep.
Oh no, I lost it. I think that we have to go to the right, guys. I'll move to the right.
Oh my God.
Okay, let's
Can
go
you
back.
hear it now? Is it louder now?
Okay, you going up, and you start. The sound disappears completely.
Oh, Jesus.
Hey guys, I want to see the world.
Guys, I
die
don't know
here on
what
this
to
island.
do.
Come on.
The song
Somebody.
stops. Should I go back or should I go with you? What do you think?
I'm just
Follow
following
us.
you guys.
Follow us, please.
It's okay. At the way out, I can find the treasure.
Guys, but look, right there. It's a camp.
Where?
Yes, we're
Nice,
we are
guys.
getting to a nice place.
Are there more people?
Okay. You get here. You see 3 tents. Seem to be pretty nicely made. They don't seem to have a lot of wear and tear, which suggests they are very new. You see a small fireplace that has just died down very recently, a small cart, and some wooden boxes. But you see no one around other than yourselves.
Okay, there
Maybe
is
they
no
are
people
already
here.
gone. Yes, they are gone. Maybe we should follow
Guys,
them.
we have to be careful. There are people living here who, I don't know, but it seems like dangerous. I don't know if you want to wait for that people here nearby the bay, or what should we do?
No, we should
Look at
follow
the
her.
fireplace. Look at the
Follow.
fireplace. It's still
Yeah.
warm. Come on.
There are people.
Okay, I found some wine. Amazing.
Okay.
Okay, I'm feeling like cheering.
This is great. This is great. Just keep going on. I'm sorry about the timing, George, because we're
No,
gonna
it's
have to
okay.
stop at some point. So we hurry through it.
Okay. No, it's okay. If you're gonna rush through it, Arnold, you start inspecting. Now that you're walking next to the boxes, you notice that you kind of open one up and you see there are multiple products on it. Some pineapples, some apples, some pears, a lot of different fruits. And as you reach down to grab one of them, you realize that while it looks like the box has a lot of them, you reach out and you feel like some sort of false floor on it, right underneath the box.
Like a hidden compartment?
Like a hidden compartment, like a false bottom on the floor, hidden underneath the fruits.
Oh, what is it? I found something here near the fruits.
Tell me, tell me.
I will go ahead and use my metal detector, guys. Where are they? Let me see.
Okay, so you grab your metal detector, you turn it on, and it immediately gives you this consistent beep, 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 right underneath the box.
Wow. Let's
Guys,
check,
we are
please.
rich.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Let's get the treasure, guys. It is here.
Hey guys, but you have to be careful. Remember,
Guys, people
here
is
can be
returning.
other people.
Sherry.
And if they find out that we stole their money, they are going to kill us. Duh.
So let's take the money and leave the place immediately. Let's go, hurry up.
Let's do it. Okay, we are going to need 2 volunteers to watch the entrance. Who wants to help us with that?
Okay,
Yeah,
I'll help you
can
guys
help
with that.
you.
Okay, we
I
both
ha-
will
I-
be at
I
the
have an
entrance.
axe.
Okay, you guys
Okay.
go first, okay?
Okay, I'm ready.
Go.
Let's go fast.
1, 2, 3. Wish me luck, guys.
Be careful.
Okay, all right, perfect. Very interesting. So who's near the box right now?
I am Bart. Let's say.
Bart is. Okay, Bart. So speaking of your book, you and the other group start inspecting kind of the false bottom of the box. And you noticed a couple of things. You notice that where you thought there would be treasure, you only see a box filled with books. From everything to self-help books, to classical novels, to different writers from all around the world in all their original languages. All sorts of books are hidden underneath the box. And one of them looks just like the one you were writing.
Hey guys. I was not expecting this, but look carefully. Look. They're not. It's
What did you
just
find?
Leah. It's just books, incredible books, guys. Oh man, and look, I think I see my book also. It's
Are they
right down
valuable?
there in the
Oh
bottom.
my
Well,
God.
Can
Oh
we
my
I
God.
think
sell
this
them?
is this is a hidden place for actors and writers and all
Important
kind of
information.
encyclopedias. Oh my goodness, this is
You
a
can keep the
real
books.
treasure.
It's
Yes,
okay.
yes, you keep them, but it's what not we're looking for. We should continue then.
Come on, guys,
Okay.
don't you
Remember the
appreciate a
goal?
writer?
No, it's amazing. I like books, but
Come on,
let's
guys,
find.
you don't know how much this worth. It's just a lot of money here, guys. I will take a
Oh,
few of this with me.
really?
Yes.
Take
If each
them.
of us take, at least 5, I bet you we all will be rich. This is it, the best treasure we could ever have found.
Guys, but what about the metals? Maybe
Do
we
you
can find
think so?
gold or silver.
Okay, so Malcolm, you actually use your metal detector on the books, and none of them activated. However, when you reach underneath and you move the box to the side, you notice that the metal detector wasn't activated because of what was inside the box, but was activated by something way, way beneath it.
Mm,
And you see a
Guys,
pile of dirt that seems to have recently been dug up.
oh guys, no, just take those 5 books each one and go. Let's go from this island.
Come on, you guys.
It's okay.
I think
Okay, we
yeah.
should move then. Follow me, please.
grab as many as you can, just if
Okay,
you could
okay.
take 5, 6, 7, 10. Come on, guys, let's do it.
If I take 10, I
That-
will sell them all.
Okay.
Yeah,
that's
they weigh
fine.
too much.
Come on.
Nice,
I help you.
Bart.
I help you guys.
Follow
Come on.
Oh,
Follow
thank you.
me. Okay,
I have
let's
6.
move.
We're
Let's
following
move.
you.
Fine. Okay.
Come on. Let's go
Okay.
back to the shore,
Gosh,
guys.
they are heavy.
To the shore, are you sure?
I think we should go back to the shore because
We
I
cannot
don't know.
do
I,
anything there.
I'm
Guys,
getting a
but
bad
take
feeling about all of
these.
this. I'm getting a bad feeling about all of this. And I think I wrote something on my book about this. Oh my goodness. No, we
Guys,
better
look
get
at
out
this
of here.
boat. Okay. But who's going to take the boat? We need the boat also to get out of this place.
Come on. Hey, you guys are in my way. Come on.
Yes,
Move.
yes. I'm following you after taking some rare leaves that I see here.
George, we have a couple of minutes. Can we move on
Okay.
to the conflict on the stone
Yeah.
wall?
No, don't worry about it. After a while, because you've been talking for a bit, you see a man show up. He's wearing a black. He's completely dressed entirely in black with just a very small porcelain mask covering its face.
Guys,
He starts
Dad.
blooming and just starts walking towards you and says,
Oh, don't worry, guys.
"Who you
guys,
are?"
I'm
Let's
gonna
get
fight
together.
him.
Let's get together.
I'm
Let's
gonna
I
fight
told
him.
you.
together.
Let's go.
I
Get
told you
it to the
guys.
chief.
That mine.
To the chief.
Why you have it?
Oh, God.
He is going to kill us. I told you.
Do you have a weapon? I have my metal detector. Let me kill him.
I have an axe.
Let me
As
do something.
as this happens, from behind you, multiple individuals such as them start showing up.
Hey guys,
Right
look
behind you.
around. Look around.
Oh,
Guys,
let's get
we are in
together.
Come on, guys.
In a circle. Let's make a circle.
I'm not
please.
See, I
afraid
told
of
you
you.
to.
I'm not afraid.
I saw you. I
Let's
told you
make
guys
a
just to move
circle, please.
We just want the books to read. We are not gonna sell them.
Come on. They're multiplying. Look at them.
Okay.
on.
Who said that? We just want the books for reading them. Who said that?
Malcolm.
Malcolm. Okay. So you see one of them approach you, and you see this one is the size kind of a small child. It looks up to you and just tells you, "Read? You want read?" Read, you want to? Oh, and he immediately runs back and starts just chit-chatting with its group, and then runs back to this group, and then runs back to the leader. And the leader listens. And when the small one returns back to place, the leader tells you, if you read one,
Okay.
follow
Guys, I
us.
think that they are not gonna kill us. They just want to teach us something.
If you remember,
No.
guys,
And he
wisdom
immediately walks
comes
towards
from-
Bart.
yes, but wisdom comes from books too. So,
You.
guys, yes,
You.
yes, tell
You
me.
sound. You know how to talk in English? You know.
Yes, we do.
Yes,
You,
I understand what you're saying.
we not. We like books, but we not know
Oh, they are
how
lying.
reading. We. Do you
Guys.
teach? Do you can teach us how to speak?
Guys, we can use music and books to teach them.
Of course.
Well,
Let's try that. Yeah.
Yeah.
okay.
To make them happy to leave the island. As
They
soon as
think
possible.
Richmond. Yes.
Yeah.
Guys, I can, maybe use my knowledge in technology. Maybe, well, they have between these things a computer, laptop, maybe. I can help them too, as long as they treat us. I will be willing to help.
George,
We can make.
briefing.
And yeah.
The briefing time, because time is running out.
Yeah, don't worry. And as the group of mysterious masked individuals grabs you hand by hand and pulls you deeper into the jungle, we're gonna have to unfortunately end the story there and go straight to the debriefing part. Now, before we go into that, I will just mention that
it was wonderful.
It was very creative. I really want to thank all the participants for not only going out there out of your comfort zone for this, but also getting so invested in it, because I could really tell everyone was enjoying it and really thinking, well, how can I progress the story as well? Also, I want to note that a lot of what happened in the second part of the story, I actually was not intending to use, but this was one of the options that we have. Why? Because, well, honestly, I thought the story would go an entirely different route, which is a scary part for a lot of people. It can happen that you think the group is going to go this way and the class goes another way. And that's completely okay. As long as you can have the exercises and adapt them to the context, you can roll with the story, roll with what they're doing, and roll with the punches, and get to the point where you can create a story that's just as appealing.
Yeah.
So in this case, I thought the story would go to escaping the island, but instead everyone wanted to look for a treasure. So I said, let's give them something. So I gave them what's inside the box. And they were very focused on, someone was living here. Someone was living here. We need to go quickly. So I thought, that's what they're thinking. So I'm going to give it to them. And that not only makes the story much more compelling, because what they're thinking and assuming of the world actually comes true, but also it makes it very dynamic, which I think it's kind of the best part of this kind of exercise.
With the comments that we're making on the side, that they were written on the chat, they were reactions to the decisions that the characters were making, and we had a few funny moments, a lot of funny moments. You could see their personalities. You could see also some of them being very much in control and some of them letting go. There was a character that always kept saying, I have a metal detector, I have a metal detector. It was really funny because she was so concerned about having control over that one single item. And Isaac's reaction with the books, I think it was very lovely. And as teachers, I believe you created a wonderful way out, instead of, leaving the island or discarding what the island had, you came up with a very nice group dynamics. I don't know if we have any more time. I am really relying on the indications of everyone. I think it was creative, it was really imaginative, and all we needed was this plan, 5 characters lines, this map, and a wonderful storyteller, George. Thank you very much. Thank you very, very much.
I appreciate that a lot. And again, thank you so much. Again, I think kind of to as a closing statement, I think that students and all sorts of people can actually take advantage of this. There have been multiple studies on how this type of storytelling can work with all sorts of different people with, not only kids, but people with post-traumatic stress disorder, people on the spectrum, people who have suffered some sort of situation of violence or abuse. This type of storytelling can really benefit all sorts of people. And as teachers, we don't really have to take care of that kind of situations because we are not in the position to do so, right? To directly address those issues. But those issues, that doesn't mean that the issues are gone if we stop thinking about them. They are still there, and we don't know every student's story. And by doing this and letting the people that want to be creative be super fun and out there and really bring life to a character, and let the students that kind of want to watch and sit on the sidelines just pay attention and observe, it's
Yeah.
beneficial to everyone. It's beneficial to ourselves. It makes it a very entertaining thing.